quality over quantity, this video might not be for you. Now, many of you guys already know this, but if you happen to not know this, in general, we have a distinction between designer or mass market fragrances versus niche or luxury or indie fragrances. In general, stuff over here, your mass market stuff is going to be more accessible, easier to find, not going to be anything challenging. It's made to make you blend in. It's made to make you fit in or empower you. It's mass appealing, and it's coming from brands that you're probably already familiar with. On this side, we have fragrances that are intended to challenge you, that are made from a more artistic sensibility, maybe higher quality materials, and they're not necessarily going to smell like anything you smelled before, and they may not be appealing to everyone. Another thing that separates these is that they do tend to be more expensive than your mass market fragrances. And both of these camps are valid. It really just depends on what you're looking for out of your fragrance journey. Now today we're focusing on this side of things, the niche, indie, luxury side of things. Again, we're going for quality here. Now, I believe that when we buy niche fragrances, I believe we're hoping to pay for these specific things. We're hoping for uniqueness. So something that smells interesting and unlike anything you've smelled before, and it keeps you coming back for more. So it will help you stand out from the crowd of those you might be out with also wearing a fragrance. We're hoping to pay for high quality. So that can be summed up in the texture of the scent. When you smell the fragrance, there's a texture to how it enters your nostrils. There's a smoothness to it, how the ingredients are blending together. There's nothing sharp about it or piercing or anything rough around the edges. Even with the darkest and most brashest of fragrances, when they're of high quality, you can tell. And it's something you just want to smell into. You just want to dive into it as if it's a lake full of that fragrance. And a lot of us are looking for strong performance. Let's be real. I'm not personally one who cares all that much for a fragrance to be strong, even if it is at a high price, but it's simply a plus. If that thing is going to last a long time, if it's going to leave that beautiful scent trail, if it's going to maybe fill up a room, then that is a great plus. And I do think a lot of you guys are expecting that when you're spending $100+ on a fragrance. Some brands are marketed as niche, but more specifically, we can call them mainstream niche, and they're not quite looking to push the envelope like these others. They're actually looking to make an even higher buck with their prices at a higher premium. And they're good fragrances a lot of the time, but they may not be all that different. This is something I've talked about in previous videos as of recently. If you're looking to have more quality in your collection, not a collection, but yours, making it your own, I would avoid acquiring a ton of cheapies, just because they're easy to get. What is a cheapie? We're talking anything you can find out in a rack store for 40 bucks or less. It may not be very different from what it's sitting next to on the shelf. It may not be very different from what you already own in your collection, but it is simply new and it's easy to acquire. So you go ahead and scoop it up. You don't even see the money go, and it's no problem. But then those things add up and you have all these fragrances you're not wearing. And I've talked about this recently, so I'm not going to go much more into that. All I'm saying is, why not save that money you might spend on like 4 or 5 of those fragrances and actually save up for something of quality, something that you're going to keep coming back to, that's going to be an interesting wearing experience that will captivate your senses and not just simply smell good, because there's a billion ways you can just smell good. Now, the last thing I'm trying to say is that there are no fragrances out there of decent quality that don't cost a ton of money. On the contrary, fragrances like Cremo, Bourbon and Oak, I've talked about this recently. You can get this thing in the $20 range. Kind of an interesting fragrance for being so cheap. It is quite simple, but kind of sweet and woody. Kind of has a booziness to it, but it's more like a warm, spicy vanilla sweetness with this kind of aged wood quality. Very interesting. Fragrances like 3 AM, I've talked about this one a lot over the past couple years. Again, in that $20 range, this could be a go-to for the summertime. Super invigoratingly fresh, very cooling, cardamom and citruses and tonic water, a little bit of leather and fig leaf. Kind of different for a freshie, and an atomizer like a fire hose. One of my original babies, John Varvatos Vintage, very elegant, very refined. I cannot believe you can find this under $30. Even to this day, it smells so gentlemanly, it smells so elegant. It's sweet and kind of leathery and tobacco and spicy, warm cinnamon in there, but has a touch of an aromatic quality. It's a little fresh, has rhubarb in here. Kind of a hard scent to describe. You got to get your nose on it. It smells like nothing else out there. Even Green Lover from Lolita Lempica in that $30 range, maybe a little bit above 30. Kind of this creamy, sweet, fresh orange vanilla creamsicle. That's how this smells. Doesn't smell like anything else out there. Maybe close to something like Mugler Ultra Zest, which you can't find anymore. I would check this out, man. This thing is great for the summertime. It's kind of a succulent, alluring, fun, playful fragrance for the warmth, and again, not very expensive. Now, these fragrances are great, but at least for me in my collection, they're not the most interesting. They're great. I do get wear out of them, but I have others that I reach for more that are just simply more interesting. So let's see if we can breeze through these very quickly. The newest from Zaharoff, we have Signature Royale X. This is as sexy as fresh can get. This is lots of citruses, very bright when you first spray it on, but immediately you get something a little different about it. There's this kind of leathery, musky quality that is amped up quite a bit in the base here that supports that bright citrus. So you have this duality of kind of light and dark happening, but it is mostly fresh. It smells kind of fresh out of the shower, but there's a little bit of this carnal musk in there. Kind of sexy stuff, especially up close. Definitely recommend checking this out. We have this one from Argos, the newest fragrance they just released, and I do have a bit of a caveat behind this one. This is called Palace Athene. Again, we're looking for these three prongs: uniqueness, high quality scent, and performance. All of these are going to give that to you, this one especially. Now, the caveat behind this one is this is going to smell feminine to a lot of you. This is mostly a floral fragrance with a bit of a citrusy, fruity, spicy quality to it that kind of opens it up and makes it a little bit fresh in a way, but you do have this nice earthy, grounded base of vetiver, patchouli, and sandalwood in there. But it's mostly this bouquet of florals that is so well blended together. Maybe a little bit of vanilla in there to kind of smooth things over, make it kind of creamy, give it that smoothness that you expect out of Argos. So again, a fantastic scent, a very situational fragrance. Again, might appeal more to the ladies because it is kind of a floral personality, but if you just like florals in general, gender has nothing to do with this. I definitely recommend checking it out, but all of the fragrances from them are great. Again, this is the newest one, but even stuff like Danae, which is the one that came out right before, fantastic, perfectly unisex, has kind of a freshness to it, but also sweet and sticky and warm and woody, very alluring and intoxicating. And one of my original favorites, Triumph of Bacchus, this boozy, fruity, kind of spicy tobacco fragrance that is simply succulent. All of these are great. This was sent to me by my friends at Max Aroma. I talk about them from time to time. They are a great place to get your fragrances at a great price. I am going to try to get you guys a discount code. We didn't have one before, but I'm going to talk to them. Hopefully by the time this video goes live, you'll see a discount code either on screen or down in the description with the link. So Max Aroma is a great option if you're looking for fragrances for a discount. Russian Tea from Mosque Milano. I've actually loved this fragrance since I first smelled it from a sample years ago. We're talking 3 or 4 years ago. This was my first love from the house. I've always wanted it. Max Aroma asked me if I wanted to receive anything. I chose this one in a heartbeat. I have always loved this stuff. I've had it on my hand for like 6 hours now. It's still going strong. This is like smoky black tea with a raspberry, almost honeyed like sweetness, a little bit of spiciness in there. That's the best way I can describe it. It's simply beautiful, it's calming, but there is something kind of commanding about it because of its presence and performance. Russian Tea, this is definitely something that checks all the boxes. Now, this type of fragrance doesn't have to come from a niche brand. It can also come from a designer brand. Dior Homme Parfum. You cannot get this exact bottle very easily anymore, but the newest formulation of it, which is pretty easy to order from Europe these days, I hear it's basically the same as this. Some people seem to like it even more. I haven't smelled it yet, but I love the original. This is that very powerful, waxy, powdery iris with a little bit of rose in there, very brash and dark leather. So again, a nice little duality here. Very opulent scent, very refined and elegant, something you dress up at night for sure in the cooler months. Checks all the boxes for me in terms of a quality scent. From Amarud, one of my favorites from the house period, this is Lunar Vetiver. This is definitely something to wear on those warmer days when you still want to have a bit of an elegance to you, but it's so easy to wear. This is a very fresh woody vetiver, similar to something like Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, but I like this a lot more because there's more nuance here. You have a lot of spicy pimento pepper, very, very spicy, very warm, but also very cooling all at the same time. Dries down to a little bit of vanilla or tonka bean, has this kind of creamy sweetness that mixes with those fresh woody nuances and it smells simply incredible. Again, something that is very versatile. You can get a lot of wear out of this, but it's also going to make you stand out. It's accessible, but different. I talk about this one all the time. This is one I definitely recommend getting a sample of because it is probably the most expensive on this list. These days, I think it's over 300 bucks. But again, you save up for something that really matters. This could be the one. This is called Overture Man from Amouage. I talk about this one from time to time. This is an incredible animalic fragrance. So it is pushing the boundary. It's not going to be for everyone. You do have a slightly sweet cognac in here mixed with a lot of spices. It is a little bit funky in the animalic department. So there's a sharpness to this fragrance, but you also have smooth sandalwood. You have some resinous myrrh in there that kind of smooth things over. This is a statement maker, and this smells like nothing I've smelled before. For me, I bought this with my own money and it was worth every penny. I love this fragrance. I'll be wearing it for years to come because it'll take me some time to get through this bottle because I don't wear it all the time, but it's totally worth having for me. It's pure quality in a bottle. I do discuss this one quite a bit. If you're looking for a fresher fragrance that smells like nothing out there, but it's still going to last a long time, it's still going to be of very high quality, it's going to make you stand out, but you can also wear it anytime. This is Ganymede from Marc-Antoine Barrois. And this is a fresh violet leaf fragrance, which is kind of a green, almost herbaceous, sometimes metallic freshness to a scent. So it's a little bit unusual. It's not like your lavender or citruses or anything like that. There is definitely this metallic, cold quality to the freshness, a little bit of immortelle in there, which adds a very unusual, almost culinary kind of, sometimes like maple or curry vibe to the scent. It might sound weird, but it mixes perfectly with the metallic notes. You got some suede leather in here. All in all, it comes together to smell like the leather interior of a brand new luxury car. If you're asking me, simply smells of money. And it's not super expensive as far as niche goes. This is a brand new house to me. I got a few of their fragrances. This is definitely one of my favorites. I wore this last night. I actually got some good feedback from Grace. She actually really enjoyed it on my skin, and it lasts and lasts. It is an extrait de parfum from Untamed Fragrances, a Canadian-based brand. This is called Shaped by the Wild. And this is kind of this piney, woody, coniferous fragrance with a little bit of this dark, earthy quality. You do have a buttery quality from orris and iris in the heart, so it's filled out. It's not totally dry woods. There is this kind of smooth, slightly creamy nature to the woody quality. Again, kind of piney, reminiscent of being out in the forest. And you do have a little bit of vanilla in the base, so there is some sweetness in here, but it is primarily smoky, woody, a little piney, and definitely kind of buttery and smooth with a touch of sweetness. Very interesting stuff and will last and last. It is quite a bit of money for what you get. You pay, I think, 175 bucks for 30 milliliters, so that's quite a margin there, but super powerful. You're not going to wear it all the time, and when you do wear it, you're not going to have to put on much because it's so strong. Mainly would wear this at night dressed up. Incredible fragrance. I recommend checking out all of their fragrances. They have 4 so far. They're all fantastic, and you might be able to sample them, so I'll link them down below. From Atelier Materie,
said that terribly.
This is called Narcisse Taigi. This is a narcissus fragrance. Narcissus is a floral, but it has kind of this green, earthy quality to it, more so than floral. But you do have a nice bit of pear and ginger in here, bringing this fruity, spicy zing that kind of encapsulates the green, earthy quality of the narcissus as it dries. It smells like nothing I've smelled before. Definitely floral in a way, and in this kind of sweet, fruity way as well, but that narcissus as the floral centerpiece is just simply different from your rose or your iris or jasmine or anything like that. So it does make it quite unisex in my opinion. This is, again, checking all the boxes. Very interesting, lasts a long time, and fantastic quality. And finally, all of these fragrances from this brand are standouts. They're all stunning. I don't love all of them. I tried all of them. They sent me a discovery set. I spent about a month and a half with all of them, and I chose this as my favorite because I figured I would get the most wear out of this one. Even though it is very iconic, it's very distinctive, it's not going to be for everyone, but it does have a very wearable quality. From Francesca Bianchi, we have Etruscan Water. And this is an animalic citrus. That's the best way I can put it. Bright, mouth-watering, juicy citruses, but definitely tart. And you do have this kind of like mossy, woody, animalic feel in the base. kind of supporting the citrus. It's filled out in such a beautiful way. Technically no animalic notes in here, mainly just oak moss, but a lot of it mixed with a little bit of smooth butteriness from orris, a little bit musky as it dries down, primarily citrus and pretty brash oak moss, but it is stunning. Great for the warm weather, even though this juice would look like otherwise, but it can also kind of be a signature scent. If you do have a lot of confidence, you don't put on too much of this because it is powerful for a fresh scent. This could actually work well as an everyday if you want to really have that kind of statement and be that person. This is it, man. This is perfumery at its finest for me, along with all of these fragrances here. If you want to stand out, if you want to have quality in your collection, if you want to start to build identity in your collection and not just have every fragrance that was ever recommended to you and have 230 fragrances to choose from every day, maybe 10 of which you care about. If you're trying to avoid that, because I know I was, then this is a place to start. Cut down on the quantity of what you get. That's my first piece of advice. So those are just my thoughts. These are 10 fragrances that I think are kind of a place to start if you're looking to build more quality. I would love to know what you think of this idea in general, or at the very least, have you tried any of these fragrances and do you enjoy them? Let me know down in the comments, and thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.